For our last example in introducing the for repetition statement, we're going to take a look at a simple compound interest calculation. And first I'll go load the project here, and then I'll show you a problem statement that we're going to solve. So a person invests $1,000 in a savings account yielding 5% interest, compounded yearly. Assuming that all the interest is left on deposit, calculate and display the amount of money in the account at the end of each year for 10 years. Use the following formula to determine the amounts. So A is going to be the calculated amount, P is going to be the principal, 1 plus R is going to represent the interest rate, and N is the year. So we're going to implement that in C#. So let's take a look at the actual code that performs this task, and I'll run the program first just so you can see the results. And notice, by the way, that we're displaying results in 2 columns of output here. We have some currency formatting going on to allow us to get these nice alignments of the decimal points, and in our case dollars and cents. So we'll talk about the formatting that we used to do that, which is one of the other new features in this example. We'll also be taking advantage of the math class's pow function for raising a value to a specific power. So to do this, we've gone ahead in main and declared several variables. We have a decimal variable called amount, which is going to represent the amount on deposit at the end of each year. A decimal variable called principal with the initial value of 1,000 to represent the principal amount. And our interest rate is 0.05. And basically what we're going to do is raise 1.05 to the year power and multiply that by the principal to get the result. Now here at line 14, for the first time, we have a little bit of additional formatting to introduce to you. What we're going to display is the word year followed by a value displayed in a field of 20, right justified by default. 0 is the placeholder indicator that says the first argument after the format string will be placed here, and when you want to specify a field width, you follow that with a comma and the size of the field, and by default the value will be right justified in that field. If you wanted to do left justified, you would use a negative number for the field width here. And what that does is it produces the column heads with year, and then amount on deposit is 16 characters wide, so there's actually 4 spaces followed by the 16 characters of the string amount on deposit. Next we have our for loop, and once again we have all of the counting specified in the first line. We're going to count with a counter called year that's initialized to 1. We'll keep counting as long as it's less than or equal to 10, so for 10 years, and we'll add 1 to year each time. Then lines 20 and 21 perform the actual calculation. So in order to perform the calculation, the first thing we do is perform this math.pow call. And if I hover over the pow function, you can see that this is a function that takes 2 doubles, x and y, and returns a double, and it raises the x value to the yth power. So in this case, the x value is 1.0 plus the rate, which is 1.05, and the y value is the year. That gives us the multiplier that we need to figure out the amount on deposit at the end of a given year. Now, because amount is a decimal value, the first thing we do before performing the multiplication is cast the result of the math.pow operation to type decimal, so that we're doing a decimal times a decimal to produce a decimal result. And then finally, once we've performed the calculation, we have another console.writeLine statement here that is going to do some formatting. And we have 2 placeholders as represented by the 2 sets of curly braces. The value that's going to be placed into the first placeholder is year. The value that's going to be placed into the second placeholder is amount. And the formatting for each of these is specified. So for the first column, what we would like to happen is for the year value to be right justified underneath the word year. Now year has 4 characters, therefore I need a field width of 4 for displaying the year amounts. And that's what we're getting with this format specifier. In the placeholder position 0, we'd like to display the value with 4 columns, 4 characters, and by default nothing is displayed other than a space character to lead into the value if it's fewer than the 4 digits specified in the field width, or the 4 characters specified in the field width. The comma is the indicator that the next value is a field width. Similarly, for the next one, we're saying that we want to display in a field of 20 the next value, which is the amount, and the :C indicates that we would like that to have currency format. And again, because I happen to be running on a computer in the United States locale, then I get dollars and cents and commas for my thousand separators and decimal points for my cents separators in this case. So this little for loop here is producing the 10 lines of output with the amount on deposit at the end of each year based on 5% interest.